Why was I not asked to come before?
A message was sent.
How long has she been in labor?
48 hours. There's nothing we can do to save either her or the child.
Pulse is quite strong.
How good to hear an English voice.
Hey, she's done it!
Oh.
Congratulations, sir. You have a son and heir.
Princess, he's sleeping.
Definitely a long time the woman's taken. Interminable! Fritz, dear boy, what is it? What is it?
It's a boy! It's a boy!
It's a recruit! A new recruit!
What about the arm? It is hanging from its socket.
Dear Wigner, let us simply pull the delivery. You have a good nurse?
The English nurse, sent by Queen Victoria.
They should do very well.
They will make him a corpse straight away.
Poor left arm still hangs there.
Yes, I know.
The doctors say he must be put into a machine to hold his head straight.
That may not cure it.
Oh, yes, Fritz, it will soon be mended. It must be.
Anyway, apart from that, he's healthy.
And intelligent. There you are.
Thank you, Mum.
Oh, you're very tired, aren't you? My lovely boy. One day he will be king. Perhaps of all Germany.
I hope so.
Which of his names shall he be known by? Can it be Albert?
No. He must be called after my father, William. He's a Hohenzollern.
Sometimes I do not understand you.
Straight back, Your Highness. Sit squarely on up. Your shoulders straight, Your Highness. You must keep them nice and high.
Will he ride without stirrups?
To help him gain his seat.
Keep that arm down. Keep that arm down. Look, hold tight.
He'll never be able to... He's fallen.
He's not hurt.
Don't you think it's rather...
It's the only way. His balance is so bad. If the poor arm can't be cured, he must learn to act as though he had two good ones. He's falling again.
Back, Your Highness.
I think that's enough, don't you?
No, Fritz. William must learn to ride and ride well. In his position, it's essential, and he mustn't be pitied.
Please, Your Highness. Sit back on the horse. Reins, Your Highness, I say.
This is German champagne.
It tastes like it, Your Majesty.
Oh, I drink it for economy and from patriotism. Help yourself.
I'm afraid my patriotism stops short of my stomach. French champagne is better. We could put ourselves in the way of acquiring some of it.
I want no trouble with France.
We shall not avoid it, Your Majesty. The French will not stand by and let us grow, now that we have beaten Austria.
Will the French attack us?
If they're provoked to, then.
What will happen?
But don't be afraid. We have the industry, the will, the best army, and the biggest guns in Europe. The real power lies with us.
May I light that for you, Herr Bismarck?
No, Count Bismarck. I've made him a count now.
Can you?
I'm sure I can.
No. There's a good boy, Willikins.
I can ride now too. And one day I shall be King of Prussia and Emperor of Germany and ride at the head of my troops.
Oh, don't be so restless. Your wobble the table is not very strong.
I can.
Now, I don't agree with you. We can never match France.
We can if all Germany joins her force behind ours. And she will, if the French attack us. And we shall win, Your Majesty, and be the unchallenged leaders of Europe.
I want no part in it. There's no logic to it.
Politics are not based on logic, sir. They are the capacity for choosing the most useful way.
I want to reign here in peace.
Why has Grandpa gone? Have you offended him?
Oh, no. Elderly gentlemen sometimes have trouble with their bladders.
How will you manage?
My brother?
To make war with France.
Oh. We shall name your cousin, Prince Leopold, heir to the Spanish throne. The Spaniards will be glad to have a Hohenzollern, but the French will object and demand us to withdraw him. When we refuse, they will attack. Well, that's a secret. Huh?
Their eldest child, Prince Wilhelm, increasingly at odds with his parents, married Princess Victoria of Schleswig-Holstein-Augustenburg, familiarly known as Dona.
What do you think of this picture of the Tsar? He sent it to me personally. I shall visit Russia shortly, Dona. And he will make me an honorary colonel of one of his regiments. It is customary. And it's as well to be on good terms with them. So Bismarck says. And when my grandfather dies, will you serve my father?
If I'm spared to.
Oh, I'm sure you'll be spared, but you don't admire him, do you?
The capacity for admiring man is only moderately developed in me. It's an effect of my eye that is sharper for weaknesses than good qualities. Your father will want me to obey the majority. That requires a suppleness of character I don't possess.
Yes. But would you remain Chancellor?
It will be my duty.
Oh, you'd become a liberal then?
Oh, I've never been doctrinaire, liberal, conservative, reactionary. All these names seem to me useless luxuries, like the trappings of state. The Emperor gave me the Order of the Grand Cross. I would sooner have had a horse or a barrel of good Rhenish wine.
God, your cellar's full of wine.
Maybe enough, but I intend to drink more than 5,000 bottles of champagne before my life is out.
You eat and drink far too much. Bad for you.
I dare say I shall reform. I have a doctor now, but he asks questions, and I don't answer questions.
Then you must have a vet.
No, I'm chiefly suffering from age. It will kill me in the end. Two things have given me great pleasure in life. Wine and politics. Now the doctor has forbidden wine, and I'm to eat herrings and drink beer.
And what about politics?
There's nothing more to do in our lifetime except hold what we have.
Oh, but my dear Prince Bismarck... yes, do smoke if you wish.
Thank you.
My dear Prince Bismarck, I cannot possibly agree with that. There are always new situations to create.
Oh, a statesman can't create anything. He must wait and listen until he hears the steps of God sounding through events. Then leap up and grasp the hem of his garment.
When I am emperor, I'm going to make Germany a world power. With my talents and your experience.
I shall not be here.
Well, I hope you will be here. But in any case, I must start learning now.
The best school would be a circus training under a juggler. All contending forces must be kept in the air, but only so high that one can catch them again. However, it wouldn't be a bad idea if Your Highness were to attend the Foreign Office, say twice a week.
Your father, the Crown Prince, has married certain views.
I know.
English views. With respect, they do him no good.
Oh, yes.
He fails to appreciate that continental Europe is held in balance by a series of treaties negotiated by Prince Bismarck.
I see we have more railways than anyone else.
Yes. The Chancellor has formed the League of the Three Emperors. Your Highness has heard of it?
No.
It is a private understanding between His Majesty, the Emperor Franz Joseph of Austria, and the Tsar of Russia. And therefore...
Tsar Alexander speaks very highly of me.
We all do, Your Royal Highness, and that is why we trust the understanding will continue.
Oh, yes. I intend to visit the Tsar in the near future.
There is no need. He is coming here.
Oh?
Please read these inside the building.
Come... Oh, dear.
But we are as strong as these pieces of paper.
And as our army, Baron.
Our army is simply a credit of strength to balance our account. Yes. Prince Bismarck used to scorn treaties, but now our position depends on them. They deserve as much study as trains. They resemble a tangle of lines at a large railway junction.
And the chief signalman is growing old, so younger men must seize the initiative.
Your Royal Highness, initiative without tact is like a flood without dikes. We have to play the great game against England.
Against our natural ally?
There are no natural allies, only marriages of convenience and occasional adultery.
Yeah. What? No love matches?
Very few.
Well then, I must learn, quickly.
Oh, but there is no hurry, Your Highness.
There may be. My father is not well.
Oh, I am sorry to hear that.
Yes, come in.
Good morning, Papa.
Willie, what a rare surprise. Huh? Why are you wearing that?
I put it on as a compliment to Mamma.
Very thoughtful of you.
I trust I find you well, Papa.
I have a cold.
You have too many colds.
I'm sorry. My throat is slightly inflamed. How is Donna?
Oh, she is indisposed this morning, but that's quite usual in her condition.
I trust this time you'll have a daughter.
That would give no happiness to me. I would rather provide princes for my country and secure the succession. But, of course, in this family, I do realize the daughters are preferred.
Don't be absurd. And when your mamma gets here, please try not to discuss politics.
Oh, it's impossible to discuss politics with Mamma. She knows very little, and she always gets angry.
Your mamma understood politics when you were in your cradle.
I know. And she has the same views as my English grandfather.
Who was a great and enlightened man.
And who died a quarter of a century ago. I read one of his memoranda in the Foreign Office this morning.
Where? You read? Where?
Well, I thought you knew.
I know nothing.
Well, Prince Bismarck has most kindly arranged for me to be attached to the Foreign Office.
Nobody consulted me.
Nobody trusts you, do they, Papa? It's a useful part of my education to see dispatches and learn how foreign affairs are run. The Chancellor thinks. I find it quite interesting.
Bismarck hopes to influence you. All I've had for the last 20 years from that man have been insults. I've never been allowed access to such things.
He has my grandfather's permission. The Emperor is simply looking to the future.
The future, thank God, is not entirely in your hands. It is your mother's and my daily prayer, Willie, that I shall live long enough for you to grow into a stable and serious man before you have to rule. You are not ready, Willie.
Ah, Mamma.
Really, dear. Your grandmother would be pleased. Oh, my darling.
We are honored, my dear, to have our son with us here today. He has spared us some of his valuable time at the Foreign Office, where he's been learning to take over the affairs of the country.
What is this?
Papa is offended by what seems to be a perfectly normal arrangement. Prince Bismarck thought that in my...
Prince Bismarck has arranged for Willie to have access to Foreign Office dispatches.
Willie, to see dispatches?
Yes, Mamma. I can't stand endlessly in the wings of the theatre of life. I am an adult and I'm second in succession to the throne.
You are an extremely immature, conceited young man. Your father has been serving his country faithfully for the last 30 years, and he has never been allowed near the ministries. You must write to Prince Bismarck at once.
So, Crown Prince is dead.
No, Your Majesty. He's ill, but still alive.
Young Wilhelm, better sign my letter.
Yes, I think so. I'll publish an edict.
Do that, that's good. You've done well, Bismarck. I've always been pleased with you. Always done the French give in.
The French war is long over, sir.
Please pass me that.
He has not long to go.
I am to sign for him.
Until your father can.
Oh, he never will. I understand there's an old Prussian law which states a man who cannot speak cannot rule.
Rubbish.
Well, in any case, my father hasn't long to go either. I've drafted a letter to be sent to the German princes on my accession. Have you read it?
Burn it. We can put on our watches, but time doesn't go any faster for it.
Deceives, and clustering grapes too close at hand, and underneath the spreading leaves. What? Yes, Wilhelm.
Not long now, Your Highness. The doctors only give your father a few hours.
Then we must go, Donna.
Come, Anna. I must go and change.
There may be a plot.
Oh, your mother, you mean? And what does Prince Bismarck advise?
He's sitting on the fence as usual, biding his time.
But he'll support you.
Yes. Oh, this stupid attempt of hers to try and cause trouble. She wants to send all my father's documents to England. His letters, papers, private journals, they belong to me.
Then take them.
How?
You'll have the military.
Arrest my own mother?
Well, Your Highness, that may not be necessary, but...
The army shall do it. I have come to see Papa.
He is dead. He's dead. He's dead.
I know. I have come to pay my respects. Where are his papers?
I don't know. What are these soldiers?
They're my men. His papers aren't here, are they? Where are yours?
You know where my desk is.
You had no softness for me. There is nothing here.
No, nothing.
What's this?
Came from your grandmother when you were born.
Is it a fine boy?
Seems as if I had seen a fine, noble ship sink at sea. With all the nation's hopes, its freedom, its progress.
Go to your room, Mama! Absolutely superb. Yes. Do go on, do go on. Very well. Tomorrow then? I'm building a yacht to race at cows. Also a train. I'm designing the carriages myself. They're all going to be in white and gold. Yes, I shall be traveling a great deal now.
And how was your visit to St. Petersburg, Your Majesty?
Very cordial, but the military reviews we saw, I thought were clearly aimed against Germany. Fortunately, I'm the great favorite of Tsar Alexander, so I shall be using my influence to deflect the Russian military away from us towards, say, the Balkans.
Against Austria?
Mm-hmm.
Prince Bismarck won't agree.
He's not here, is he? He's just an old man sitting at home by the stove. Oh, I have great respect for him, of course. I grew up as a child and sat on his knee. I'd have given my life for him. But now, well, I'll let the old bounder snuffle on for a few more months and then... Yes.
I will not be put down like an old dog.
Russia is the enemy, gentlemen. Therefore, we must be strong and united, and above all, we must have good morale. Now, for example, these miners in Westphalia are on strike. They're overworked and underpaid. I intend to make the owners provide better wages and conditions.
There's a ministry for that.
I wish to be king of the poor, Chancellor, as well as of the rich, like my illustrious forebear, Frederick the Great.
Mutineers, get the police out and shoot them.
And plunge us all into civil war? I don't intend to start my reign by shedding the blood of my subjects. Well, what do the rest of you say? I see. I have no ministers. You're all Bismarcks.
If Your Majesty insists on these dangerous policies...
Yes?
Your Majesty should constitutionally consult his Chancellor.
You're never in Berlin.
This is a royal order made by His late Majesty in 1852. If I may draw Your Majesty's attention to it, it forbids other ministers to approach the crown without the consent of the Minister-President, which I also am.
What is this old piece of paper he keeps waving at us?
It is despair, Your Majesty. We have come from the political deathbed of a great man.
You can revoke the 1852 order by royal decree.
Can I, Holstein?
Oh, yes. Or Your Majesty could call upon the Chancellor to annul the order. If he refuses, he must go, and it would be his own doing.
Oh, then I would feel as if I'd lost another grandfather. Still, if this is the fate which God has decided for me, then I must bear it. I must find a new chancellor. You'll advise me there, Philip. And Waldersee will answer for the army. You, of course, Count Holstein, will take the foreign ministry.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, well, I shall visit Prince Bismarck myself then. First thing tomorrow morning. See to it. So, it has fallen to me then to be the officer of the watch on the ship at state. The course remains the same, but now full speed ahead. Do you trust Holstein?
Oh, he works hard, but he's no imagination. His only claim to distinction is to have ordered an egg on a veal cutlet. May I advise, Your Majesty?
Of course, I value it.
Your Majesty should proclaim that Prince Bismarck had to retire because of ill health.
Your Majesty.
I have been waiting for half an hour.
But I had no idea.
I sent you a message.
Nobody told me I was in the garden playing with the dogs.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Will Your Majesty please sit down?
No. I have a busy morning. I see that you are not exactly overwhelmed with the business of state.
Oh, I see all the necessary papers every evening after dinner. I sit and go through them.
Everything is referred to you.
Too much. It's too much.
Yes, I agree. Too much.
Has anything gone wrong? Something considerable to carry Your Majesty here that early? I feel imperfectly shaved and incorrectly dressed. Please, do Your Majesty sit down.
I prefer that we stand. You have invoked the order of my royal forebear?
It was a law made to establish the position of the First Minister.
Which I will now revoke.
Your Majesty doesn't intend to diminish the Chancellorship.
I have the power to. Do you wish to sign it? Or will you still oppose me?
I oppose what is unwise. I have served you, your father, your grandfather, but Your Majesty wishes to do everything.
I wish to be obeyed.
Oh, you find any number of people who will obey. You can be like the Tsar and rule through the trees. I stand for good government.
And I do not. Just because you are elderly, do not suppose that you may speak as you wish.
You're speaking as two men. I as the old, and you as the young one. But man to man, your powers stop at my door.
Then who is to rule Germany, the Emperor or his Chancellor?
The two together. But I will not serve in chains.
I am your sovereign!
Right. I've worn my yoke long enough for better masters. You may take my papers if you want to. Open the door! I beg Your Majesty's pardon. I spoke hastily.
And very stupidly. What is this? The Russian imperial crest?
This is nothing. That's private papers.
It's a letter, isn't it?
From the Tsar, it's personal.
It's about me.
His Imperial Majesty honors me with his confidence.
Why should he write to you about me?
It's conversation.
He is a badly brought up boy of bad faith.
It's his opinion.
I will not have it. In future, all state affairs are to be referred to me.
Your Majesty expects me to resign?
You may write your letter when you wish. I will accept it. I'm not ungrateful, but I am not a child. I'll say you are ill.
But I am Bismarck! Your Majesty! We can arrive at some arrangement.
Kaiser Wilhelm arrived at 6 o'clock. He was most affable and sympathetic, and thinks it would be an excellent idea to have a German princess as future Empress of Russia. All the English and German relatives give me their good wishes. Yesterday, at the instance of Willie, the whole family was photographed in the garden. This morning, Wilhelm had a talk with Alex while I stayed in the next room.
Nicky! Go and talk to her.
No.
Faint heart never won fair lady.
Dearest Nicky, since you were good enough to express your unmitigated delight and pleasure with the last painting I sent you, I'm sending you another one. I designed it myself. It was executed, of course, by Herr Knackfuss, our court painter. I can't tell you how admiring he was of my design. It represents you and me standing sentinel over the apostles of the true gospel in the Far East. For that is clearly your great task of the future, to cultivate the Asian continent and to defend Europe from the inroads of the great yellow race. In this, you will always find me by your side, ready to help you as best I can. 2 days ago, I got a report that the Japs are clandestinely arming the Chinese behind our backs. They are sure to rouse Chinese hopes and inflame hatred against the white race in general, and will constitute a grave danger to your rear in case you should have to face a Jap adventure on the seashore. Begging your pardon for the liberty I have taken, I hope the Admiral of the Pacific will not be angry with the Admiral of the Atlantic's signals, who is always on the lookout on your behalf. Ta-ta! Best love to Alex from your devoted friend and cousin, Willie.
Admiral of the Atlantic. Where are we going to put it? I really don't like it, Nicky. It's worse than the others.
I'll find a corner for it.
How many more is he going to send? Can't you tell him we have enough?
Well, it's a bit difficult.
I wouldn't mind, you know, if he only represented himself on them, but why does he have to include you?
Come in.
What? All of it? All of it. The whole squadron? The whole squadron. Including the flagship? Including the flagship. Including the Admiral. Including the Admiral. All at the bottom of the sea. Those little yellow men. Don't wait upon formalities, do they? Well, Russia will have to send out the Baltic fleet to reinforce what is left in the Pacific. They'll have to go halfway around the world to get there. Yes, well, we'll offer to coal it. We can do that? It'll annoy the British. Sink the British. Japanese are their allies, not mine. Still, there are questions of neutrality. My dear Boulot, there may be questions of neutrality for you, but monarchs must stick together. I see this. I see this as far more than just a little war 8,000 miles away. This will be the decisive battle between Christianity and Buddhism, between Western civilization and Eastern semi-civilization. It will be the battle I so prophetically delineated in my painting. Our sympathies must be with Russia. It is vital that the Baltic fleet sail and wrest the mastery of the sea from the Japanese, and I shall write and tell him so. Well, Your Majesty, I don't quite see it as strongly as that. What is the object of German diplomacy at the present moment? To secure the peace of Europe. Oh,
Well, that's everybody's object. No. Our real object is to separate Russia from France. If we can accomplish that, we will never have to fight a war on two fronts. Therefore, we must encourage the Tsar. If he wins, he'll thank us, and if he loses, he'll need us. Either way, the French will be exposed for the fair weather friends they always have been.
Your Majesty, if we could get the Russians to sign a treaty with us.
That would be far more difficult. French would raise hell with the Russians if they did.
But if we could persuade the Russians to sign first, wouldn't the French have to fall into line?
Leave it to me.
Well, now, I think these things are best done through normal diplomatic channels.
Why?
Well, since the Foreign Office is not allowed to edit Your Majesty's correspondence...
Shouldn't dream of it.
Then it makes it very hard to set the official seal on Your Majesty's efforts.
Well, do as you like. I must dress in 5 minutes.
I'll convey your wishes to the Foreign Minister.
Dearest Nicky, the outbreak of hostilities has had sad consequences for your brave navy, which have deeply moved me. How could it be otherwise, seeing that I am a Russian admiral, and proud of this rank too? I can well imagine how sore your heart must feel that all your pains to secure peace were of no avail. I had an interesting conversation about the war with the French military attaché.
I told him I thought it astounding that the French have not sent their fleet down to keep Port Arthur open till you send the Baltic fleet, which I'm sure you will send out soon, thus restoring to you the command of the sea. I pray heaven may shield and protect you and all your family through coming times. Warmest love to Alex and your mother from your most devoted friend and cousin, Willie.
I'm sending you another painting executed by Herr Knackfuss, but designed by myself, since you were kind enough to say how much you liked the last one. It's meant to be allegorical and shows what the combined might of Russia and Germany could achieve. What a brave sight your Baltic fleet must be making on its long journey to the Pacific, and what a fuss the English are making over the incident at the Dogger Bank. It was perfectly natural for your admiral to mistake those English fishing smacks for Japanese gunboats. His broadside salvos just show how alert he was. Of course, the English will make of it what they can. It seems to me that if you and I were to stand shoulder to shoulder in the face of English and Japanese arrogance, France would have to join us by virtue of her obligations to you. Ta-ta! With best love to Alex, your devoted friend and cousin, Willie, Admiral of the Atlantic. P.S. The only way, as you say, would be that Germany, Russia, and France should at once unite upon arrangements to abolish English and Japanese arrogance. Would you like to lay down and frame the outlines of such a treaty? As soon as it's accepted by us, France is bound to join us.
And what a coup that would be.
Didn't I say there might be some value in monarch speaking to monarch?
I'll deal with it at once.
Draw it up yourself. Let's keep the Foreign Office out of it. Germany, Austria, Russia, and France. Even Bismarck never thought of that one. Dearest Nicky.
Virtually the whole Baltic fleet sunk without trace. 8 battleships, 7 cruisers, 6 destroyers. A journey of 18,000 miles, taking 6 months to complete, and the Russian fleet ends at the bottom of the sea within an hour of reaching the Straits of Tsushima. The war is over.
This is it, then? This is the moment to catch him. He'll be in the doldrums. Poor Nicky. But it's right. Germany and Russia, it's right. I shall invite him to meet me at my hunting lodge. Just the two of us, no ministers, nothing. I shall begin by reminding him how France, his ally, has done nothing whilst we have done all. And then... And then, my dear Wilhelm, the talk turned to England and how the French have flirted outrageously with her. The Tsar hung down his head dejectedly and said, "That is too bad. What shall I do in this disagreeable situation?" I felt then that the moment had come. I reminded him of that draft treaty we had discussed a few months ago. "Oh, yes, to be sure," he said. "I remember it well, but I've forgotten the contents of it. What a pity I haven't got it here." "I possess a copy," I said, "which by an extraordinary chance I happen to have in my pocket." He caught me by the hand. "Show it to me, please," he said, and his dreamy eyes lit up. I drew the envelope from my pocket and laid it before the Tsar. He read it quickly. I sent up a fervent prayer to the good God that he would be with us in this moment and guide the young monarch right. Then the Tsar looked up and said quietly, "This is quite excellent. I quite agree." My heart beat so hard I could hear it, but I pulled myself together and said quite casually, "Should you like to sign it? It would be a very nice souvenir of our meeting." He ran his eyes over the document again, and then he said, "Yes, I will." I flung back the cover of the inkstand, handed him the pen, and he wrote in a firm hand, "Nicholas." I signed my name under his. He folded me in his arms and said, "I thank God and I thank you." Bright tears stood in my eyes. It was an historic occasion.
I don't understand it, that's all. Not only do I not understand it, I don't agree with it.
If your Majesty tried to understand it, you might find yourself able to agree with it.
I'll tell you what I do understand, Prince von Bülow. For 20 years, at the request of my ministers, I have paid court to the Sultan of Turkey. I've flattered him. I've made speeches to him. I've listened to his horrible jokes in his horrible German. Now you tell me he's no longer important.
He is less important.
Because the Austrian alliance has suddenly become more important?
If Austria makes war on Serbia, Russia will come to the aid of the Serbs.
They'll be like two old ladies shaking their umbrellas at each other.
Russia is not prepared for war. The French will have to come to her aid. In that event, it seems to be vital that we should have no doubt in London or Paris as to where we stand. I find it very difficult to conduct this conversation while your Majesty is so absorbed in slaughtering chickens.
You've had your holiday.
I cut it short to return here because of the crisis.
Then it's a pity you didn't cut it short earlier. I might then have had the benefit of your advice when Isfolsky was here. As it is, I had to tell him we'd do what we could to calm things down in Vienna.
We'll do what we feel is necessary.
If you want my frank opinion, I think Ehrenthal behaved like a damned fool.
I agree. You should have consulted us. But the situation has gone too far for recriminations. We shall have to support him up to the hilt.
may mean war.
We're ready for it if it comes. Our talks with the Austrian High Command are well advanced.
And what about England?
Well, we can't be sure what England will do, but it's of no consequence. Their army will have no impact on the continent of Europe.
That's true. They couldn't even win the Boer War properly. Do you know, I told Uncle Bertie how to conduct that campaign, and he just laughed.
It's understood, then, that we give our full support to Austria?
Well, if we must support them, we must. Whatever we do, Germany will get the blame. Everybody always blames Germany, which of course means me. Blame the Kaiser. That's the game everybody knows.
After 6 decades of beneficent rule, it has pleased the Almighty to call my exalted uncle, His Majesty and King Franz Joseph, to a higher station. Rent with anguish, pain? No, anguish. The hearts of our people stand beside his final resting place, ever grateful for his fatherly love, his sublime spiritual values, his ever-present sense of duty, his goodness and passion for peace. It will be our task to pursue the aims of our late great emperor and to continue his noble life's work to keep the peace. Ever to keep the peace. Ever. Always provided that neither existence nor honor of the monarchy is threatened.
Very good.
And to dedicate our life exclusively to the welfare of our peoples. We shall show the same love to all our peoples, regardless of class, faith, and religion.
Legally recognized religion, perhaps.
A good point, Willie. Yes. Yes, legally recognized religion. High or low, rich or poor, before our throne, all will be regarded as equals. In fraternal love, the people of the monarchy, bound together by tradition.
You don't exaggerate, Franz. You really do have the most beautiful roses in Europe. Do go on.
That's all for the moment. I intend to round off the text when,
when the tragic event occurs.
To write the final draft at this point before might to some appear
tactless,
callous.
Oh, my dear friend, your uncle is 84. Thank you. It's perfectly correct to be prepared for the worst.
And you really think this text adequate?
More than adequate. Well, perhaps a few ingratiating phrases such as holding on to what we have, whatever the cost, they like that sort of thing, you know.
And the mob?
As ruler of Germany, I've never found it disadvantageous to be popular with the mob.
Surely, Willie. Popularity cannot be the first prerequisite of the monarch. No. An emperor needs to be feared. I shall expect my orders to be carried out, not discussed. Uncle has sacrificed everything to be popular, to be liked. And the result? Crumbling empire.
Quite. Even so.
Unfortunately, Willie, to be ingratiating is not a gift which the good Lord has seen fit to bestow upon me in a very generous measure.
Oh, well, you underestimate yourself, Franz. Surely with a wife as charming as the Princess von Hohenburg.
Oh, my dear Willie. Nothing. But nothing during your visit here has given me greater pleasure than the affectionate respect which you've shown my darling Soph.
Oh, but the Archduchess is absolutely delightful in every way. I insist that you bring her with you to Berlin when you next visit.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, no.
You can't imagine the humiliations to which Uncle continues to subject me.
His Majesty is obsessed with protocol.
No, he hates Sophie. He wants to wound her. He won't address a civil word to her. He calls her the scullery maid behind my back.
Incredible.
And yet, the most intelligent thing I ever did in my life was to marry my darling soul. Well, you've seen for yourself. She's everything to me. Wife, advisor, doctor, my entire happiness. Oh, my dear Willie, your kind words have given me new courage. With Sophie by my side, and you, a trusted friend and ally, we shall move mountains.
Yes, indeed. Meanwhile, your uncle is in perfect health.
Yes,
but may I?
Uncle.
I see that recently in Parliament you've been referred to as His Majesty's loyal opposition. Now tread carefully, my boy, step by step.
Oh, they're all on my side, Willie, all of them. Conrad is in my pocket, the rest will follow. They know, you see, that in a year or two, it is me they will have to deal with.
In a year or two?
Oh, you're quite right, of course. Oh. As usual, yes, I am too impulsive. One never can be quite sure whom to trust. One is surrounded by sycophants. At first sight, everyone one meets appears to be angelic. And then too late. One finds one has been too trusting.
Trust your own divine intelligence, Franz. And remember, the major task for our two empires, mine and soon yours...
My first major task, Willie, will be to unite all the nationalities in my empire behind me. Now, Uncle's present dualism of Austria-Hungary cannot be allowed to continue now. We must create a third member state embracing all our Slav peoples. Here, let me show you. The Slavs, the Serbs, the Croats. Eventually, we will create a genuine federation of the Central European states like the United States of America.
This is tasks for tomorrow, Franz. Our first duty must be, as emperors, to uphold the principles of monarchy. Habsburgs, Hohenzollerns, Romanovs. We are the only real bulwark against the rising tides of liberalism, democracy, and worse. That bulwark must come first.
To be sure, really. Precisely what Uncle believes. Only the vital...
The progress, of course, is vital. I am, as you know, a dedicated reformer. Without doubt, the most progressive ruler in Europe.
No one would deny that.
But progress, my friend, must be tempered by strength. You don't really imagine, do you, that those Slavs of yours are going to be fobbed off with the carrot of a little independence within your empire? They want more, Franz, and still more. And then they'll go looking for support beyond your frontiers. Fortunately, Russia can help only with words. So you keep them in their place, those little flag-waving minorities of yours. That's my advice to you. Believe me, the only language those Serbian dervishes understand, the iron fist.
Your Imperial Majesty, Your Imperial Highness, luncheon is served.
What's that? Excellent play act as the Italian soldiery, eh?
Did enjoy it. Most entertaining, I thought, and enlightening.
I already prophesied a great future for the Connecticut when I was visiting New York.
Did you indeed?
Sophie would also enjoy the spectacle, I'm sure.
I'm sure her cold will be better in the morning.
No doubt, no doubt. Diplomatic colds usually clear up overnight.
Your wife is a member of the family circle. That is a matter of principle. You will appreciate, however, that it is difficult to reconcile her presence with long-established protocol and functions of this nature. Best wishes for your hunting expedition, Clara.
What's the delay, Codwitz?
Your Royal Highness, Your Imperial Majesty.
It's quite intolerably hot, Cotwitz. You're aware that I can't stand the heat. Makes me ill.
The hottest summer for 32 years, Your Royal Highness.
You can't change the weather, Cotwitz, but you can produce the quarry. Kindly do so. Well, Domfield, what is it now? From Colonel Bardell? Your Royal Highness' departure from Bosnia after the maneuvers will now have to be advanced by an hour. Incredible. Otherwise, it will be impossible to make the proper train connections. Kindly inform Colonel Bardolph at my chancellery that should he further spoil our taste for our Bosnian journey by these constant inconveniences, he can hold his maneuvers without me. And tell him further that I've decided to set a day aside, June the 28th, for a reception at Sarajevo. This, inform the Colonel, has nothing to do with him. It will be a purely private, non-military affair, with a lady present who deserves some recognition. Understood? That'll show these Bosnian idiots.
Sarajevo. On June the 28th. That's the Serbs' national holiday.
Exactly, Billy. I intend to show Uncle once and for all that when I go out to the provinces, I shall do exactly as I please.
Brave man.
I trust in God. Will you? Well, Codwitz! The rabbits, man! The rabbits!
Here they come.
Oh, the left sleeve longer. 3,5 centimeters. No, 4. No, 4,5 centimeters. Yeah, good, good. And now for the Reichschancellor.
Imperial Majesty.
Yes, Pittman Hulvik.
Your Majesty, His Excellency, the Austrian ambassador has just arrived for the déjeuner.
Good, good. We'll lunch then.
Have I permission to place before His Majesty the note which has just arrived from our ambassador in Vienna?
Oh, yes, yes. Let's see it.
Count Chesky really must be reminded to express himself more briefly.
Well, if I have your Imperial Majesty's permission to summarize.
Yes.
His Excellency frequently hears the wish expressed in governing circles in Vienna that a final and fundamental reckoning with Serbia...
I should think so, Chancellor. What? Now or never?
However, His Excellency's personal view, which he has expressed in conversations in Vienna...
Personal view?
Or the view that Serbia might, in the first place, be presented with a note listing certain demands.
Who authorized Chesky to express his personal view to the Austrian court?
If His Imperial Majesty will permit. Count Chesky believes that only if the Serbs fail to meet such demands as may be submitted, should energetic measures be adopted.
What? I take every opportunity to advise them against too hasty action. None of his damn business. Whatever action the Austrians take will be decided upon by His Apostolic Majesty Franz Joseph. It's absolutely monstrous. Tell Chesky
to be good enough to stop all this weak-kneed nonsense. If anything should go wrong, they'll all say that Germany was afraid to act. These Serbian savages must be disposed of. Is that clear? Eliminated at once. Well, now I'm ready to see His Excellency the Austrian Ambassador.
At Imperial
At once! Imperial Majesty. Reichschancellor.
Excellency.
Appalling news, Excellency, appalling. In the name of Germany, allow me to express our most sincere condolences. The Archduke was my very dear friend. But somebody will pay for this cowardly act of murder, on that you may rely.
Deeply touched, Imperial Majesty. In the name of His Imperial and Royal Majesty, whose personal note I...
Yes, it was received and read and discussed exhaustively with my Chancellor. Our absolute support of the Austrian cause remains a matter of honor.
Imperial Majesty is to come.
Yes, but we go further. We would view with extreme concern any further delay in punishing the Serbs.
Imperial Majesty, my Emperor is no doubt hesitating, rather reviewing the situation with a view to possible Russian reactions.
Russia is in no position to take any military actions, and my cousin the Tsar will certainly think twice before provoking me. And he would certainly not wish to align himself with this pathetic rabble of assassins.
After their disastrous little Japanese adventure, Excellency, the Russians would hardly venture to...
Quite. And as for the French, totally unprepared to my certain knowledge, no heavy artillery, correct?
Imperial Majesty.
Which leaves us to consider our English cousins, Bateman Holweg.
The English, thanks to the wisdom of Majesty's policy, can no longer boast of naval supremacy.
You see.
In case, now that is to say, should the worst at any time come to the worst where England is concerned...
What?
Fortunately, Excellency, the English are likely for an unforeseeable period to remain preoccupied with the vexed problem of Ireland.
Imperial Majesty, am I to understand that His Imperial Majesty is saying...
I am saying, Excellency, that by now your armies could have been in occupation of Belgrade. And that would have been the end of the affair. No one would have dared to interfere. As all Europe knows, I am, first and foremost, a man of peace. But there are limits. I am not entirely naive as to the consequences of war. But even you, Excellency, will agree, will you not, that there does come a time when a great power, Austria, Hungary, can no longer merely stand by, but must reach for the sword.
But Imperial Majesty...
So, convey my deepest personal regard to your Emperor. We consider our part in this affair to be now at an end. And now luncheon. Tomorrow we are leaving for Kiel. Do you enjoy the sport of yachting, Excellency?
Well...
Ah, pity. Weather looks promising. And if the Tsar can see fit to take himself on holiday at a time like this, I feel honor bound to do the same. Oh, courage, Excellency, courage. The wind is in our favor. All is well.
After 2.5 years, the most devastating war the world had ever known reached a stalemate, and the casualties on both sides were close on 12 million dead. To the Allies, the supreme warlord of Germany, Kaiser Wilhelm II, was portrayed as a foul monster, a living symbol of German aggression. In reality, he was a man older than his 59 years, tired and beaten by events which had escalated far beyond his ability to control. A sick, ailing Kaiser whose grip upon his country's destiny was slipping rapidly through his fingers. He had made his supreme headquarters at the great country house of Pless. His chancellor, Bateman Holweg, Field Marshal von Hindenburg, his Chief of Staff, General Ludendorff, and Admiral von Holzendorf await his decisions on policy and strategy.
Field Marshal.
Your Imperial Majesty.
General.
Majesty.
Admiral.
Majesty.
And Wittmann Holweg.
Your Majesty.
Well, what instructions do you have for me this time?
With respect, sir, we are here to present to Your Majesty the present situation as we see it, and to seek Your Majesty's advice.
I didn't want this war. I was not even responsible for its declaration. This war is decimating our youth, it's crippling our economy, our whole nation, gentlemen, is crying out for peace.
Peace, Your Majesty, can only be achieved by absolute and complete victory.
At the cost of how many more German soldiers' lives, General? We are fighting a war on two fronts, gentlemen. We have the enemy before us and at our rear. British blockade has us on the brink of starvation. There is a limit to which may push a nation, gentlemen. If this war is not soon ended, it will be the German people telling us what to do, not the other way around.
As you are aware, Majesty, I have explored every possibility of a peaceful settlement of this war. Without success, the Allies have rejected our proposals out of hand.
The Allies. I have one cousin who is King of England, another Tsar of Russia. You would have thought, wouldn't you, that between the three of us, I sometimes think that Nicky and George conspire against me. I tell you, gentlemen, if my grandmother was still alive today, she would never have allowed this.
From a purely military point of view, Your Majesty, our armies and the enemy's can hold their positions on the Western Front indefinitely. It is time we had a radical reappraisal of our strategy.
Indeed.
For with every day that passes, the enemy grows stronger by building up supplies, raw materials, food.
Within 6 days, Majesty, I can have 6 flotillas of U-boats commanding the sea lanes of the North Atlantic. I give you my word, Majesty, that the German Navy will bring England to her knees within 4 months.
And America into the war within 4 weeks.
Possibly, Your Majesty. We must be prepared for that threat.
You make all these proposals, gentlemen, but it is I who must accept responsibility for the final decisions. It's too much for any one man.
With the utmost respect, you have not heard all our proposals. As Your Majesty rightly pointed out, we are fighting a war on 2 fronts. The Russian front must be eliminated.
Do you think, Field Marshal, in the years that you were a general in the field and knew nothing of what was going on behind the scenes in the Wilhelmstrasse, that I was not conscious of that fact?
We are all deeply sensible of your foresight, Majesty. With Russia out of the war, I can release 122 divisions from the east, more than doubling our strength on the Western Front and enabling us to mount a major offensive. Eh, Ludendorff?
A breakthrough. Complete victory.
But have I not, Chancellor, again and again tried to get my cousin Nicky to sign a separate peace treaty with the Central Powers? I have personally, in writing, guaranteed that every single German soldier will be taken from Russian soil in return for a guarantee of a separate peace. Now, you don't know my cousin, Field Marshal, is as stubborn as he is treacherous.
With respect, Majesty, I am confident that there are other means of detaching Russia from her commitment to the Western Allies. In Russia, there are certain disruptive groups.
Every week I hear the same thing. Russia is on the verge of a civil war. Her army is on the brink of mutiny. That we should try to win this war by encouraging a Bolshevik revolution in Russia is sheer insanity. If we should succeed, what then? We should have an armed Bolshevik nation on our doorstep. Out of an enemy, we would create a monster.
If your Imperial Majesty will not make some decision, then our armies might well retire from the field before another drop of German blood is shed. We must either fight this war to win or sue for peace at any price.
Very well. But I place the responsibility for this on your shoulders, gentlemen. Very well. Admiral, you may have your unrestrained submarine warfare, and the day hostilities cease on the Eastern Front, Ludendorff, you may have your complete victory. What dreadful tea this is. Where does it come from nowadays?
Our own reports from Russia indicate that there is increasing disaffection with the war and that the Bolsheviks are demanding an end to hostilities.
I've always assured you, Chancellor, that should the Bolsheviks come to power, Russia will be out of the war.
Quite.
But they are urgently in need of organizers and political agitators. And the most experienced of these are exiled abroad, mostly in Switzerland.
Then the sooner they're in Russia, the better.
The only problem is how. They will not be permitted to travel through Italy or France. The Allies are not likely to encourage a Bolshevik revolution.
Then they must be transported through Germany.
It is the only way, Chancellor.
That, too, presents certain problems. Majesty, I did not expect your...
I'm sure you didn't, Bateman Holbeck. And who is this?
This is Dr. Helphunt, Majesty, our principal contact with the Bolshevik revolutionaries in Russia. We were discussing means...
I am well aware of what you are discussing, Chancellor. I am not utterly without sources of information in my government.
I assure your Majesty there was nothing secret in our discussion. It is a matter of transporting certain revolutionaries in Switzerland across Germany into Russia, Majesty, with your Majesty's permission.
Did you really imagine, Doctor, that we would willingly give our permission for the encouragement of a Bolshevik revolution in Russia?
But I had been given to understand, Majesty.
We have no intention of building up a power which could one day destroy us.
The Bolsheviks want only peace, Majesty.
On whose terms?
That must be a matter for negotiation, Majesty.
Any peace treaty will not be signed on their terms. Of that you may be assured.
I am confident that they are aware of that, Your Majesty.
We shall drive a very hard bargain, Doctor. One that even the Bolsheviks, however much they may desire peace, will find hard to swallow. Our interests in the wheat fields, the oil fields of Eastern Europe are very ambitious.
Their first consideration, Majesty, is peace. Without peace, there can be no revolution. I think you will find them willing to listen to reason.
And these Bolsheviks in Switzerland, by all accounts an assorted lot, are they reliable?
As far as I'm concerned, there is only one man that matters. He has been planning this revolution for 30 years. He is bitterly opposed to the war, and he has the support of the Bolsheviks, who, in turn, have many supporters in the army and navy.
Do you think that he will agree to this suggestion?
He is in a difficult position. Open support from the German government could politically be extremely embarrassing for him. But on the other hand, he is determined to return to Russia by any means he can.
And secrecy is most important.
It is imperative, Chancellor.
And you, Dr. Helphunt, what is your interest in this little plot?
I am a socialist, Your Majesty. I will be happy to have played any part in bringing about a socialist revolution in Russia.
A revolution which you hope will then spread all across Europe?
That, I fear, Majesty, is only a matter of time.
If the German military plight were not so serious, I would forbid any action of this kind.
And I have your Majesty's permission to proceed.
With the greatest reluctance. I tell you, if this scheme of yours succeeds, Bettenholweg, it will become something which Germany one day will live to regret.
In October 1917, Lenin and the Bolsheviks seized power in a confused and exhausted Russia. They wanted no part of the imperialists' war and signed a separate peace with Germany at Brest-Litovsk in March 1918. But meanwhile, unrestricted German submarine warfare had caused the Americans to enter the conflict on the Allied side. In Austria, where the funeral of Franz Josef marked the end of an epoch, the new Emperor Karl appealed to the Germans to make peace before it was too late. His armies were beaten and his empire disintegrating. He did not want to be deposed and murdered like Nicholas of Russia and his family. In the spring, the Germans launched a major attack on the Allied line, but the line held and the British counterattacked with hundreds of tanks. The German army reeled. On August the 14th, the Kaiser summoned a council at Supreme Headquarters, which was located in the former Grand Hotel Britannique at Spa in occupied Belgium.
Headquarters, attention!
Good morning.
Guard, be armed!
Good morning. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Your Majesty.
Morning, Wilhelm.
Morning, Father.
Hindenburg.
Your Majesty.
Ludendorff.
Majesty.
Von Hinze.
Majesty.
Good morning, Chancellor.
Your Majesty.
There.
A cup of coffee, Your Majesty.
Oh, thank you, Miller. Thank you. This is pure coffee?
Of course, Your Majesty.
No wood shavings at Supreme Headquarters, eh? No flavored sawdust. Let the British blockaders eat their own sawdust. Germany stands firm. Bright swords, gentlemen, shining armor. At the hour of decision, your supreme warlord once again joins the ranks of his... thank you, Miller. Well, Hindenburg, Commander-in-Chief, state the agenda.
The Chief of Operations has offered his resignation.
Refused? That offer was refused 5 days ago.
Since that time, the situation has deteriorated.
Courage, Ludendorff. Your warlord has faith in you.
As Your Majesty commands.
Boundless faith. You are a friend I shall never desert.
Your Majesty's confidence strengthens me. Your Majesty, may General Groner bring in the latest telegrams?
Yes, of course. Good to see you again, Groner.
Your Majesty.
Your Majesty, the strategical appreciation for the month of August 1918 is as follows. The withdrawal from the war of our Russian enemies enabled us to transfer men and material from the east and to launch, 5 months ago, our great new offensive. This offensive began...
Yes. Excuse me, Your Majesty. Private telephone message for His Imperial Highness the Crown Prince.
May I take it, Father?
Certainly, Willie, certainly.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Over there, if you please, Your Imperial Highness. Thank you. Switchboard, Corporal. Transfer.
Crown Prince speaking. My darling, is this wise? I insist that you obey me. Obey your Crown Prince. Now, of course, I love you. No, I will not repeat it. Very well, I will repeat it. I love you more than my wife, and when I see you tonight, I'll whack your little bottom.
Therefore, it is not possible to break the enemy's will by offensive operations. Our future objective must be to paralyze the enemy's will to win by strategic defense.
And our defensive lines are drawn with the usual precision.
Our defensive lines are in ruins.
Never.
As your Majesty well knows.
I know nothing of the kind.
But Your Majesty, August the 8th was the black day for the German army. When the British launched their big tank attack, 6 of our divisions crumbled completely without resistance.
Yes, it is strange the way our men seem unable to get used to tanks.
Our casualty figures clearly show that there are more missing than dead and wounded. Entire units disobeyed their officers and surrendered.
Yes, it is very odd indeed. Don't you think so, Chancellor?
In the military sphere, Your Majesty, I bow completely to the judgment of the Supreme Command.
Ah, how wise. Thank you, Greta. So unlike your predecessors, huh?
These men were scum, of course, Your Majesty. Boys, comb out from soft jobs at home, prisoners returned from the Russian front, and so on.
Yes, so we must review conditions. We have come to a limit, have we?
Your Majesty, we have.
The war must be ended. Well, I can face it. Your warlord can face his destiny.
Your Majesty, we must negotiate an armistice.
But then regroup, smash the troublemakers at home, and fight on.
An armistice?
Yes.
But in your opinion, Ludendorff, we shall upon the last day be victorious?
Yes.
Now, you gentlemen dispute that. Excellent. Magnificent. I shall ride through the Brandenburg Gate at the head of returning heroes.
Your Majesty, General Ludendorff informed us earlier that the army had ceased to be a perfect fighting machine.
Nonsense! Ah, Willie. Our dear foreign minister here.
It was my aide-de-camp, Father.
What?
I mean my valet.
Oh, yes. Never mind that now. Here. Here's excellent news.
Your Majesty, may I urge extreme decisiveness.
Extreme.
Discipline at home.
Discipline.
And crush disaffection.
Crush it. Yes, Grenner, what have you there?
It's just another telegram I received this morning, Your Majesty.
Read it.
Troop train in Frankfurt had this slander chalked on it. Slaughter cattle for Butcher Wilhelm and his gang.
How can they say that? If they knew my heartbreak.
Discipline, Your Majesty.
Yes. We must have a commissioner for propaganda. See to it, Chancellor.
Your Majesty.
See to it. Decisiveness. Miller.
Your Majesty.
Order the cars.
At once, Your Majesty.
Your Majesty, upon what terms are we to seek the armistice?
Terms?
Would Foreign Minister von Hinze not agree that a more useful topic for consideration would be the mechanics of the operation?
Field Marshal, as a mere politician, I bow to your political skill.
Mechanics? Simple. Ask the King of Spain. Or Queen Wilhelmina of Holland.
Ask the King of Spain.
To intercede, Willie.
Oh.
Yes, decisiveness. Concentration. Where's Muller?
Ordering the cars, Your Majesty.
Your Majesty, shall we withdraw from Belgium?
Withdraw?
A tactical armistice will be easier to obtain if we offer to withdraw from Belgium.
But our right flank depends upon Belgium.
My sincere belief is that the sufferings of Germany have been such that even England and France must concede our right to occupy Belgium.
Why even mention Belgium? That business is settled. It is down in black and white.
In blood and field grey, Ludendorff. You'll drive to the station with me, Willie. I want to have a word with you.
Of course, Father.
Well, as you know, gentlemen, the health of the Empress has succumbed to the great strains placed upon it. I must be constantly at her side at Wilhelmshöhe, but I look forward to the outcome of these events with the utmost confidence. Hindenburg.
Your Majesty.
Ludendorff.
Majesty.
Von Hitzer. Chancellor, Groener, gentlemen.
Guard, present arms!
Wilhelmshöhe, his castle in Germany when the war is lost.
The war is not lost.
It is.
It is not.
Ludendorff.
Gentlemen, please. The Emperor has made certain decisions. It is for us to enact them. However we interpret events, gentlemen, let us never forget the Emperor has a truly noble nature.
Donor, the fact about Willie's affair is that the woman is a French widow who lives near his headquarters, and, well, although it grieves us, there is a sort of stupid safeness about it. I'm sorry. I just blurted it out. The strain of keeping these facts from you has been very great.
I knew about the French widow a year ago.
You never told me?
No.
Was that your duty, Donna?
Wilhelm, your advisors are of the opinion that you should return to Supreme Headquarters in Belgium.
Now, was it not your duty to inform me?
Well, there are some sorrows that a mother should keep to herself.
Sorrows of state?
Wilhelm, I've no wish to burden you. I know how much I mean to you. My heart attack shattered you, I know that, but as Admiral Muller says...
Oh, Muller.
Your advisors...
Whisperers.
No.
Conspirators.
We must set an example of sacrifice.
False friends. Have you seen this newspaper?
I'm not dismayed by it.
No, of course not. What if the Turks are defeated? What if Austria has sued for a separate peace? What if the Bulgarian army has turned and fled? Filthy peasant rabble. When I behold the dignity of the German soldier, Donna, where is your lady in waiting?
I sent her away so that we could have this little talk.
Oh. What fun we had before the war.
We never talked like this.
We did.
We didn't, we...
Please, Donna. Oh, Donna, what am I going to do? I had a dream. I saw all our English and Russian relatives and all the ministers and generals of my reign march past, mocking me. Only the little Queen of Norway had a kind word.
She would have.
God knows I never wanted such slaughter.
Shall we say a prayer together?
Yes. What is it? Now, please tell me. Please.
Russia.
Russia?
Nicky and Alex.
Now, you mustn't think about that.
When you saw them in your dream, were they already dead?
No.
Were they... I mean, did they still have faces?
Please, Donna.
And the children. There was no need to shoot all the children.
No need. But they are at peace now, Dora. Only God can understand these riddles.
Amen.
Amen. Donna, I think I should return to Supreme Headquarters.
So do I.
Yes, my presence there could be vital.
I'm sure it could.
Yes. Shall I find your lady in waiting?
Thank you. I shall miss you.
I know.
Your Majesty.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Ludendorff.
Majesty?
Don't you drink too much coffee. Now, you ought to consult the specialist who attends the Empress. Is that not so, Miller?
Definitely.
Oh, yes. The Empress is an example to us all.
Your Majesty.
Is this another dream? Or are we six friends truly in this room? We are. The army is defeated and we must make a direct appeal for an armistice. Von Hintze,
Your Majesty.
you must approach the American President Wilson.
Wilson's book on the Prussian Constitution offers easy hope of his sympathy.
Very true.
Now that the old Chancellor has resigned, he should be replaced by a more liberal figure.
Yes, well, President Wilson, his attitude to our Constitution is very liberal.
Your Majesty should appoint your cousin, Prince Max von Baden, as Chancellor.
Max?
Yes.
He's prematurely bald, poor devil.
Admiral Miller.
Steam up in the Imperial train, Your Majesty. I must order the cars at once.
What can equal the companionship of friends? In the old days, you know, I was something of a practical joker.
You were?
Oh, you suffered, I dare say, Miller.
I did, Your Majesty.
Oh, yes. We were all merry young officers together. The object, you say, Hindenburg, is to withdraw the army intact.
It is, Your Majesty.
Second Punic War. Rome versus Carthage. An alliance with England and Japan to drive the Americans out of Europe. Well, who knows the answer to these riddles? You're a good, honest man, Hindenburg. Do you know it?
It is our duty to save our social system.
Well, I think these strikes and mutinies are just the work of a few Bolshevik agitators.
Your Majesty, will you sign the proclamation here or in Berlin?
Proclamation.
for the new democratic constitution. If you sign here, we
Never!
can the contents of your
No,
majesty.
no, as supreme ruler, I am the instrument of God. There is no provision for political parties in the Reichstag to share in my executive decisions. The Reichstag is a monkey house, and if you don't believe me, go and read President Wilson's book.
The alternative to a liberally reformed Reichstag is anarchy. We must save the social system.
Oh, very well. The proclamation.
Huh?
Liberalization of the Constitution. You do realize this means social democrats as ministers?
We do, Your Majesty.
Vulgar little nobodies.
They will accept your cousin, Prince Max, as Chancellor.
Will they? Oh, good.
At least Max is a gentleman.
Gentlemen. Your Majesty, there is treason here. For the sake of the war and of your throne, I beg you to listen to what I have to say.
Your next appointment is with me, I believe, Ludendorff.
It is, Your Majesty.
The substance is that your resignation will be most acceptable.
Never.
To put it bluntly, your recent attitudes have not been helpful to the national sacrifice.
Your Majesty, I must repeat for your...
I will not dispute.
Conspirators!
Silence!
I will not be silent!
Guard! Arrest that man!
Conspirators!
God's sake, Ludendorff!
What?
Have you no idea of military discipline?
Majesty, please accept my most loyal resignation.
That's better. Hindenburg will appoint your successor, General Grenner. Oh, the lights weren't off for too long, were they? My God!
Your Majesty?
Is this a thermometer?
Yes.
Max, have you caught the influenza?
I'm afraid I have.
We shouldn't be in the same room with you. Muller, follow me. Gentlemen. Did you walk over here from Supreme Headquarters?
Of course, Your Majesty.
Well, of course you did, yes. Well, now, what do you think of my little garden house?
Charming. Charming.
Well, it struck me at once. Style of Frederick the Great.
Of course.
Gentlemen. Majesty. Hindenburg. No greeting. Oh, my God.
An old man's tears, Your Majesty.
Come. Rejoice! President Wilson and his allies have agreed to an armistice. Tasks of peacetime reconstruction await us. Now, this Crown Council has been called to discuss the affairs of the interior, which will be under the command of the Emperor.
Your Majesty, I beg to be allowed to resign my commission. As a Prussian officer, I cannot say what I now have to say.
No resignations, none. Come on. Now, gentlemen, an appreciation of the situation in Germany at present is as follows.
Majesty, armed mobs control the ports, the Rhine crossings, the principal cities of the fatherland, and the railway system. No trains can pass, the army is cut off.
Precisely. I shall place myself at the head of the units that remain loyal and restore order.
That would mean civil war within the army itself.
I don't believe you.
Your Majesty no longer has an army.
What?
The army will march home in peace under its generals, but not under the command of your Majesty.
I must have that in writing. I must have a written statement from all my generals commanding. Am I not your supreme warlord? Have you not sworn your soldier's oath?
In this situation, your Majesty, that oath is a fiction.
Hindenburg! My God!
Field Marshal.
Yes? Yes? Thank you. Berlin. All troops deserted. Situation out of hand.
This Crown Council is temporarily adjourned. Social Democrats, traitors, conspirators against my dynasty. God knows my willingness to abdicate if that were the true wish of the German people. Oh, I've reigned long enough to know what a thankless task it is. How dare that newspaper say that I cling to my imperial position? All I've done is to pursue my duty side by manly side with the army and with the people. Ah, Willie, my poor boy.
Father?
And as for abdication in favor of the regency, each one of my sons has sworn never to succeed me in that fashion. Correct, Willie?
Correct, Father.
So there, gentlemen, so there.
So your Majesty has considered the tactics of abdication?
Do you accuse me of your own cunning?
We could make a better peace without you, your Majesty.
I shall never speak to Grana again.
One of my aides suggested that you could abdicate as emperor but remain king of Prussia.
Remain? Why, that's it. That's the solution.
Well, I said even so, I couldn't become emperor because I know the Berlin-Joke.
Berlin-Joke?
Don't shoot the Kaiser because you might get the Crown Prince in his place.
Pull yourself together, my boy. That is the solution. Thank goodness Hindenburg and Grana have gone. Pessimists. They have absolutely no sense of peacetime reconstruction.
Indeed not, Father.
Now, your mother will be very pleased by all this. Ah, she is an example to us all. She always wanted me to spend more time on Prussian domestic causes.
Your Majesty.
Oh, yes, we are composing a statement, Miller. There's no cause for anxiety.
Telegrams from Berlin.
What's that? Announced my abdication? What? This is treason, barefaced treason!
What's happened?
My own cousin has announced my abdication, a traitor. He seems to be totally unaware of the fact that I am still King of Prussia. My God, are you back here already?
My emperor.
You no longer have an emperor.
My emperor. We cannot see you taken prisoner to Berlin. Our advice is that you formally abdicate and seek refuge in Holland.
Do you think I am afraid to stay here with my troops?
No, Your Majesty.
I shall put this villa into a state of defense. See to it, Miller. Machine gun posts, trenches where necessary. What will you do, Willie? Rejoin your troops?
Yes.
Well done.
Your Majesty, I beg you to go to Holland.
Your Majesty?
Is that you, Muller?
Yes, Your Majesty.
I'm in the depths, Muller. I'm deserted. I'm stricken to the heart.
The officers of your suite are all still here, Your Majesty.
Well, thank God I'm used to loneliness. The disability I was born with has made me very self-reliant. Where have you been?
As you commanded, Your Majesty, I've had the baggage put aboard the Imperial train.
Unload it. Unload it.
At once, Your Majesty.
I shall fight on here, Muller. I shall expend the last round of ammunition. Have you seen any drunken soldiers? Rioters, looters. Moral decay of that kind seems to accompany all dynastic catastrophes. Poor Germany. Contemptible, unwashed France. And as for England, Miller, as for England, why do they hate me so much? They do realize, don't they, that their blockade killed more women and children than did my submarines. They do realize that, don't they? Well, thank God the Empress is safe in Potsdam.
She is an example to us all.
Oh, yes. Of course she is. The English do know about the starvation and the disease they've caused. They do know about that, don't they? They do know that their hatred is entirely unfair. Well, my courage is unabated. No, I can handle these problems. I have the map of Europe here in my head. Oh, yes, sleeping and waking. If my destiny is to be a tragic one, then let it come. Of course, in different circumstances, I might have been an archaeologist. Something of that kind. As one grows older, these things seem less important. I often think of our plumes, you know. Plumed helmets at the Brandenburg Gate. Where are you going?
To unload the baggage, Your Majesty.
Well, don't. We'll go to Holland. But no farewells. At least we'll spare the generals that satisfaction. Count Bentinck?
Your Imperial Majesty.
To place your house at our disposal is more than generous. I understand that, like me, you are a knight of the Order of St. John of Jerusalem.
We share that honor, sir.
Is it true that the Austrian Emperor has fled?
I believe it is so.
The end of an epoch. What do you think of it all?
Will you meet my wife and household?
You are not a Freemason?
No, sire, I am not.
Splendid. We accept your hospitality.
Please.
So, now for some tea. A cup of good English tea